Welcome to episode 18 of Pera's Playbook. Today I'm joined by Division One Idaho Vandals quarterback Jack Layne. Jack, what's up?
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me on here. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course. I bet you're also getting pretty hyped for the season. I mean, I know it's just like a fan.
Oh,
I'm
baby.
I'm so psyched. I mean, we're like 10 days out or less for some teams. I mean, there's games
Yeah, man.
next weekend. It's crazy. It's almost
It's
here.
awesome. Best
It
time of year.
is. It is. Fall is the best time of year. I love the
It
weather. I love the football. It's just you can't complain.
can't beat it.
So why don't we start talking a little bit about like your recruitment? How'd you end up at Idaho? How'd that all unfold?
Yeah, so I was class of 2022 in high school. My recruitment, that was kind of like the COVID time. So that kind of threw a screwball on a bunch of our recruiting processes and stuff like that. So I was a pretty under recruited guy. Only played 4 games my junior year because of COVID. We lived in kind of a sensitive area, Portland, Oregon area. They were pretty serious about COVID down there. So when they got 4 games in, which kind of stumped my recruiting, had a good senior season in Idaho. They actually really liked my twin brother Dylan. He plays linebacker for us, and I was kind of like a package deal. He was like, "Hey, I'm not going to come unless um, you offer my brother a spot." So I was like, "Yeah, man, I don't have anywhere to go, so I'll come to Idaho." And yeah,
Yeah,
kind of how
that's
it went
pretty
down.
sweet. That's kind of cool that your brother kind of packaged
Yeah,
you in there, got you a
super
spot.
thankful. I don't honestly don't know if I'd get the opportunity without him.
Yeah,
Cause yeah,
definitely. Well, I mean, you made the most of your opportunity so far, with the experiences you had your first year. You got some playing time, but you also got to, preserve your eligibility with that red
mhm,
shirt. So you kind of got the best of both worlds. You got
yeah,
college experience, but you also keep your eligibility, which I mean, nobody can really ask for more.
hmm,
Um, you had, I think you were 24, 37, 65%, 368 yards, one TD, one interception, 5 rushes for 16 yards. Your first game that you played in was Drake.
hmm.
Were you nervous? Like when you realized you're going to be playing, were you pretty nervous?
No, I wouldn't say nervous. I was excited. I
Yeah.
didn't. So my coach told me probably midway through the week that I'd get some snaps. I think is what he said.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that meant. But I mean, I kept everything the same. I mean, I wasn't gonna change how I prepared. Man, football's football at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just a game
Right.
played by a bunch of big kids. So, yeah, it was just fun. A lot of excitement, pretty much.
Yeah, definitely. Finally, like, hey, you're when you're putting in the work, when you're practicing, you want to
Hmm.
get a chance to play, obviously,
Totally.
and to get out on the field. That's what everyone wants. So the other big game, kind of, I want to talk about for you is the Idaho State game. So
Hmm.
your starter goes down with an injury. It's a rivalry game for you guys, obviously, in-state game. You guys always want to win that one.
Yeah.
You step in and you get the W. So tell us a little bit about that game.
Yeah, man, that was an awesome experience. So, yeah, Vonnie kind of got banged up in the game before we actually lost that game. We were against UC Davis. They played great. They whooped us. He got banged up, and so the next Monday on that meeting, we kind of planned for him not to play. So I kind of went the whole week thinking I was gonna play, which it helps to have that week in advance. Like my preparation was the same, but I don't know, just going through the week, like practicing as the starter, it's a little bit different vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool, good experience. There's a lot of older guys, especially on the offensive line. And then Hayden Hatton, he's actually my roommate for these trips. So like we stay in the hotel together, like we spent
Yeah.
kind of the whole traveling trip together. So we're good buddies, and yeah, he kind of took me under his wing, really mentored me, which was awesome. And then shoot, he probably had his best game of the season. Caught everything even remotely close to him. Helped me out there, and it was nice to get the win. It was also kind of a rough time for our campus and our city because that was kind of around the time when those murders happened. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yeah.
So it was just a strange time, sad time for all of us, and it was nice just to get a win. I know that doesn't really make up, it doesn't make up for what happened at all.
But
Um,
I mean, like, right, it doesn't make up for what happened, but in a crazy way, I mean, sports, they mean so much to people in
totally.
communities, and like people can kind of they can come together through sports, and a
Totally.
victor. I mean, you can't come together through a loss, really. Like, yeah, they
Yeah,
played hard, but when you get that win for your community, it can help bring people out of tough times. It can help give somebody something to like take their mind off of what's going on. They
totally.
can like, hey, the football team won. That's something good. Like, let's focus on that.
Yeah,
So
100%.
totally, yeah, it's a good. And you guys kind of beat up on one of your in-state rivals.
Yeah,
You
that's
can't,
always a plus.
yeah, you can't complain about that.
The bragging rights for one more year at least.
Yeah, right. And it's always hard. Yeah, in rivalry games. I mean, you never know. It doesn't really matter for
Yeah,
most rivalry games, like how good each team is. Usually
totally.
it's always a grind, it's always a battle, and it's back and forth. I mean, it's rare that one team dominates a rivalry. You see it now. Like, I feel like Georgia's kind of dominating the Georgia Tech rivalry. Like, they've kind of
Yeah,
like they've gone separate ways. Most rivalries though like stay pretty
right.
consistent.
Yeah.
So
Records
you got
don't
to take
matter,
it.
man. When
Yeah,
it's
oh
that
yeah.
rivalry game, anything can happen.
Yeah, but one team could be 10-0 and the other one could be, 0-10, and both of the teams are still like it's going to be a battle. It
Yeah,
is.
no
Even if
doubt.
you look at the score at the end, doesn't always show it either. Like,
Yeah.
obviously the players know. You're in the trenches, you know what's going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, from playing high school ball to then like going to play some D1 ball, what were the biggest differences you noticed in your game time? Was it like speed? Could you just tell guys had more of a football IQ? I mean, like, what
Yeah.
was the biggest difference you noticed?
For sure, speed. So, I mean, when I was in high school, like speed and size for sure. Like my average lineman in high school was probably 6 foot, shoot 210, 200. And then you go from that to like across the board, you got five guys who are 6'5", 6'6", like 280 plus.
Yeah,
So, and then the speed is different. I'm definitely now being a year into it, like I feel that I'm used to it. But looking back, I mean, it still felt really fast. Like watching the film, you could tell it was rushed. Um, yeah, played a little faster than I would like to, but I think that's natural for a freshman. And yeah,
yeah,
I'd say the speed.
yeah. Yeah, of course. I mean, like, those guys who have been there for 4 years, are like fully developed athletes, guys that are going to be going to the NFL here, guys
Mm,
that are going to be going to the CFL, whatever league they're going to. And then you're just like, man, I just got out of high school. Like, completely different levels. Like, you're playing against
totally.
guys that are on their way out to their next stage, and you're just starting yours. So I mean, like, it's
I
it's
have a
really,
cool story. So I when I was a freshman last year, June is when we were like reported for
yeah,
summer workouts. So I get in, I get to my locker, and the vets they call it, were just finishing their lift or something, and this guy walks in, seventh year senior, like 25-year-old, sits next to me and like introduces himself. It's like, hey, his name is Roshan. He was like a seventh year running back or something. And I thought it was the coolest thing because I am this 18-year-old kid, like
yeah,
just graduated high school 2 weeks ago. um,
yeah.
and this guy ends up being one of my best friends from last year. So it's super cool how, like as a freshman, the older guys like embrace you, and
Yeah,
it's a cool environment.
it's got to be like super helpful for you too to come in and like have a guy like that kind of as your buddy, somebody who knows the ropes, he knows what's going on, he knows what you've been through, he knows the rap, he knows the game already.
Totally.
Like,
Played a lot of ball, gone through injuries, gone
yeah,
through coaching changes,
yeah,
knows everything.
exactly. So, I mean, Idaho football, you guys like talk about playing with your brother, like being on the same team. Yeah, that's got to be pretty cool. Like you said, you were package deal, but like now you're both there, and
Mm-hmm.
you get to go to the games together. You're playing together. You get to watch each other. Like, that's pretty sweet. To not many people can say that.
Yeah, it's cool, man. He was actually used to play tight end in high school, and he was like my main target. Like I always knew where he would be. Shoot, he never dropped the ball. But yeah, he got recruited for defense. Actually, Portland State offered him a full ride as a tight end, which is cool. So he could say
Yeah.
he could be a D1 tight end or a linebacker.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he plays middle linebacker. Yeah, we live together. Shoot, I was just finished stretching with him in the other room, in the weight room. Yeah, we do everything together. He's a great guy. Um, yeah, I think we kind of have this similar personalities.
Yeah.
He's bigger, of course, so that's one difference. Um, yeah, it's cool. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Has he ever sacked you in practice?
So the QBs wear gold jerseys in practice, and there's a known rule: can't touch the gold jerseys, or you'll be running until they tell you not to run.
So your
So,
brother
yeah,
your brother doesn't even okay, what about like a spring game? Your spring game, or were you
they
guys not
still
at the
don't.
field at the same time? You still can't hit, really?
You still can't hit. I mean, he'll sneak in like a little nudge,
Yeah.
just to let me know he's there.
Yeah.
In our last scrimmage, actually, it was a fourth down play, 4th and 2. He's at like Will, weak side linebacker. We have like a zone read play, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
So I'm like reading the DN, and the
Yeah.
DN crashes. He's unblocked. I can pull it and run. So I pulled it and try to run for the first down, and he kind of sniffed it out. He's a savvy, smart dude.
Yeah.
Sniffed it out, and he had to like pull up, and I like gave him a little stiff arm because it was like fourth down, playing it
Yeah.
realistic. Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. That's
he
cool. You
hates
guys.
the gold jersey rule. Hates
Oh
it.
yeah, I'm sure he wants to just nail his brother, like in
Yeah,
a fun way, but like you know what I
makes him
mean,
go
like
crazy.
yeah, oh yeah. So the campus too. The campus looks beautiful. Like
Yeah.
just like the spot up in Idaho, and I was looking at your practice field. Like looks like it's in a gorgeous spot. Like you guys got some pretty sweet view of the mountains, and just
Mm,
like when you guys are practicing like that. That's pretty cool. You don't get that in a lot of D1 universities.
mm.
Obviously, you get like major cities and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Moscow's cool, man. It doesn't. I feel like it's underrated. Like, if you ask a kid like where he wants to go play football, I don't know many kids who'd say, "Yeah, Moscow, Idaho's the place I want to be." But I mean, being here, it's awesome. It's everything I could ever want. Um, I like the small town feel. It's kind of it reminds me of my high school town. It's just there's a big sense of community. Like it's one big family. And then the dome is awesome, the Kibby Dome where we play.
Yeah.
So practice inside, practice outside because we have those outside practice facilities also. Um, yeah, shoot, I'm at the dome right now. I'm practically live here. Got everything you need.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love it. I love it.
That having like an indoor and an outdoor facility is pretty nice. I mean, and
Yeah,
that dome, you get a full crowd in there. It's got to get rocking in there.
yeah, totally. I mean, it's rare for FCS schools to have indoor facilities. So I
Yeah.
think we're in that sense.
Yeah. That is pretty cool. That you guys have an indoor facility, and I mean, it's just like you don't have to worry about the elements for like games. Like you can, your home games, you don't have to worry about it. Like doesn't affect your throwing, or like you don't have to like, oh, it's raining out, like we got to stick to the run game. Like nope,
Dude,
you
I
don't
love the
have to.
rain, man. That's
Oh really?
Portland. I'm
Yeah, I
used to that.
suppose. Yeah, you grow up to it. I
Like
get
home field
but
advantage.
yeah, if you got any guys that come from like Arizona or Texas, or they're probably
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
so
It snows in Moscow a lot. That's something I
oh
wasn't used
yeah.
to. Like, there's
Yeah.
a legit 2-3 month snow season where for that whole
Two, three
time there's
months. Come
snow on the ground.
on. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. At Michigan here, we got like a solid like 7 months nose. Like,
yeah. I
there's so many like years growing up. Halloween, it would be like snowy. Like kids got like snowsuit under their costumes.
oh
Like,
geez.
so I went to Tech, and Tech's D2 football,
Uh-huh.
and Ferris State. I don't know if you know Ferris State. They're like
Yeah,
one of the best D2 teams in the
yeah.
country. Every year they throw out people. So they're in Tech's conference. And one year I was at watching one of the games and it was miserable. It was like 15 degrees and just a blizzard.
Oh,
And
geez.
Tech was getting their butt just whooped. I mean, I think the game final was, 50-0, 40-0, something like this. They didn't get cranked by Ferris. So I left at halftime. And the way Tech's field is like field's up on the hill. You got to walk all the way back down to get to like the locker rooms. So
Mhm.
I was leaving the field as the Ferris State players were leaving, and they're like, they saw I had Tech gear on. They're like, bro, you're not staying to support the home team. And I looked at them like, would you? Like, they're getting cranked. It's freezing. They're like, nah, we wouldn't either. Like,
Yeah.
just like it's just kind of funny because it was November and it was miserable. Like nobody,
Yeah.
there were like 10 people in the stands. But I don't know. Snow football is fun to watch. Like on
Yeah.
TV, I love watching snow football games. Like when it like the Bears or the Packers or something like play a snow game. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah. It is cool to watch. I've never played in snow. Um, like a game in snow. So I
Yeah.
don't know. It's on the bucket list.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like for high school games, I didn't actually play high school football. I wasn't allowed too many concussions. But like all the high school teams had like snow games. But at
Mm.
Tech, they had like a flag football, intramural flag football. And I
Yeah.
remember one year for like our playoffs or like one of our regular season games, it was snowing and it was so much fun. I mean, just
Mm.
a blast to be out there in the snow.
Love it.
So this upcoming season, you guys play a couple big boys. You guys play
Yeah.
Cal and you play Nevada. I mean, always any chance to play against Power Five or Group of Five, FBS schools is awesome. Last year, you
Yeah.
guys played what against Washington State and in
Mm-hmm.
Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you guys got to have those kind of marked off on your calendars. Your chance to go in and play with the big boys. So what do you guys like? What's the team vibe with those games? Pretty early on the schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, those are always my favorite. The trips are cool.
Yeah,
I think it's cool being underdogs.
yeah,
I don't know if it gives us more motivation, but it's a cool vibe around the team for those games for sure. Just because it's kind of like F it, just go play your best, like you got nothing to
right.
lose. You know what I'm saying?
You really don't. And
Yeah,
I feel like most of those teams probably come into some of these games just thinking they're guaranteed the dub,
totally.
but it backfires sometimes. It was last year. Old Dominion beat. Was it last year they beat? Did they beat Virginia Tech? I feel like the last couple of
I
years did they
think
beat
so. Yeah.
somebody? And then somebody cranked Miami, Middle Tennessee, or somebody cranked Miami, or something. Like, there was
Yeah.
a couple of those games that should have been for sure wins that
Right.
they weren't. So, you know,
Yeah. You see that.
never
You see
know.
that a lot nowadays. I feel like it's
Yeah,
become more common.
I think so too. I think recruiting is kind of spread out a little more, and there's, you know, and plus you never know, that underdog
Right.
advantage is growing. The game is changing. FCS is really close to FBS. Like, I don't know, I think it'd be really cool to take both national championships and like have them play and just like I
Yeah.
think
See what
it'd actually be
happens.
a really good game. Like, I mean, you look at a
Yeah.
lot of those North Dakota State teams that won it. I mean, there's some serious talent off those teams. You look at South Dakota State last year. I mean,
Yeah.
really
Totally.
really good teams. So yes, you never know.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
So, who was your favorite football player growing up?
So my dad went to Oregon, University of Oregon. So we were big Ducks fans. We'd go to a bunch of games each year.
Yeah,
Marcus Mariota, so he was my guy really early on.
heck yeah, go
Really
Titans.
loved- What? What'd you say?
I said go Titans.
Go Titans. Yeah, that was my team when he got drafted. Too bad it
Yeah,
didn't really work out, but
yeah,
yeah, loved him. And then of course Justin Herbert, loved
yeah.
him. He's from he's from Eugene, which is where Oregon is, so that's cool. Big Buffalo Bills fan, so I love
Okay,
Josh Allen.
yeah.
Um, yeah, those are kind of my guys. Mariota,
So
Herbert.
you always been a Bills fan, like growing up?
Yeah, my family's actually from Buffalo.
Okay.
So my grandpa, like, he'd always tell me about those four straight Super Bowls the Bills
Yeah,
lost, and then,
yeah,
oh man, yeah, and he was actually at the game where this now the second biggest comeback in NFL history. It was against the Oilers.
yeah.
Uh, because the Vikings, wasn't it this last year? The Vikings versus the Colts.
Yeah,
The
right.
Vikings had
Yes.
the biggest comeback ever. But yeah, he was at the other game, which used to be it was like a 32-point comeback, which was cool. Yeah. So big Bills fans in our family for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be happy about with the Bills. I think that
Oh,
division is going to be so tough this year.
yeah.
I mean, everyone except, I mean, the Patriots aren't, they're going to probably be the worst team, but they're not going to be that bad. Like top to bottom,
They're always sneaky good. I
it's
don't know.
really, it's really good. Like the
Yeah.
Dolphins, there's so much that offense is
Right.
scary. The Jets, you throw Aaron Rodgers on a team and they automatically have an edge, and their defense is so good. And then you look at the Bills, and I mean, it's just a top to
Yeah.
bottom, probably the
Exciting.
best in the league. That best four teams. If you look at
Yeah.
some other divisions, and you're like, ooh, like top to bottom, not good.
Yeah. So who's your team then?
Titans, actually. I was a Packer fan for the
Oh,
longest
cool.
time because like everyone from the UP, because we're so close to Wisconsin, it's only 4 hours to Green Bay from where I'm from. So it's either you're a Packer fan or you're a Lions fan,
Huh.
pretty much. And I feel like I was a Packer fan because everyone else was a Packer fan. And then I was like, I don't really want to. I'm trying to like find my team. I love Andy Dalton. He's one of my favorite players.
Cool.
So I was like, I'm gonna be a Bengals fan. Well, then they caught him, and I was like, well, this kind of sucks. So then I was like, I'm gonna be a Titans fan, and I've been a Titans fan since. I don't know, love the history, love the jerseys, love the
Yeah.
players. I love Tannehill's story. Kind
Yeah.
of reinvented his career. Who can't love Derrick Henry? I mean,
Oh yeah. Kidding me?
so I don't know. It's gonna be a weird year. I think I don't know what to expect. They got Hopkins now, so they have like a
Yeah, that's
passing
cool.
game. So I don't know. Yeah, that's my team. I'm all over the board with like sports teams. I like the
Huh.
Celtics. I like the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Oh, interesting.
I'm not one of those people that's just like, I'm from Michigan. I have to be a Tigers, Pistons, Lions
Yeah.
fan.
Right.
um, so who's gonna win the Super Bowl? I mean, I'm guessing you're gonna say the Bills. Now that I know you're a Bills fan, they actually have a
Man, I'm gonna
chance.
say the Bills. Gonna say
Yeah.
the Bills.
Well,
Have to
I'm
be
gonna have to go with the
confident.
Jets. I'm gonna have to go with
I
your
like that.
interdivision rival. That's what I've been saying every
I like
podcast.
that. Okay.
I just I don't love Rodgers. Like I'm not like a Rodgers fanboy or anything. I'm not trying to hop
Mhm.
on that bandwagon. I just feel like last year they were a quarterback away from being a winning
Right.
team. Now they
Yeah.
got it. Garrett Wilson. I've been saying he's gonna be a top 5 wide receiver this year.
Yeah, he's good, man. Oh my gosh. Be
You just
right back.
lost your light.
Yeah, I think I'm timer or something. All right. We back. We back. We back.
They're shutting you off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be a wild year of football at like all levels, at the NFL,
Yeah.
college football.
Yeah.
Who do you
NFL's gonna be
think
awesome this year.
gonna win the FBS national championship?
Man, I don't really go that deep into like
Yeah,
FBS.
probably because you're in the FCS, right? You just focus
Yeah.
on your
I
guys.
just
So
don't
who's gonna
really
win the
focus
FCS then? Is gonna be who do you think's
on.
gonna win? You mean you've seen the teams, you know what's going on. You play against some really good ones in your conference.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options. I think it'll be really competitive. Yeah, Montana State's always good. South Dakota State. I mean, North Dakota State. The
Yeah.
usual juggernauts, and then yeah, some teams are on the rise, like us.
Right, yeah, you guys are definitely on the rise from where Idaho football's been, like where you were last year. You guys
Yeah,
hung with the big boys last year, like when you played Indiana. I mean, you were right there at some of those
yeah.
games. So
So
that
we'll see what happens.
shows a lot for
Hard to
your
tell right now, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, it was like listening to some podcast that I was listening to the Joel Klatt show, and he was talking about how he hates preseason rankings, but he like does
Yeah,
them for the fans. Like they're pointless. I mean, I get all like, oh, who's number one? I read them all, of course, but it doesn't mean
yeah,
anything. It really doesn't mean anything until you play a game.
right.
Once people start playing the games, you'll start to realize. Plus, half of the teams they don't even know who their quarterback's going to be. Like some of
Hmm.
these big teams, that's going to change halfway through the year, and I mean, it's
Yeah,
plus
yeah.
anyone
Not
can go
consistent.
down with injuries. You never like really.
Yeah,
There's no for sure things. It really doesn't pay to. I don't know. I couldn't bet on it. I'm not like
yeah.
into sports betting. I just I can't do it.
Yeah.
As much as
No.
I'd love to, sometimes I'm like, I feel like this would be like the obvious choice, and you could just like hammer that bet. There's always that uncertainty.
Right. Yeah.
Did you play other sports growing up? Was football your
Yeah.
thing?
Big baseball guy. Played
Okay.
basketball also. Yeah, there was kind of those three: baseball, basketball,
So
football.
being from Oregon, what's your baseball team?
Mariners.
Okay, that's what I
Yeah.
figured. Just the area.
Yeah.
Did you go to any games and stuff growing up?
Yeah. I'd go to a lot of games. Really, Felix Hernandez, you know that name? He's an old
No. I'm
pitcher. He was like
okay.
the good pitcher when I was younger.
Yeah.
Him, like Ichiro.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Ichiro, yeah.
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 I got you. Yeah. So you're a fan of teams that are pretty decent right now. Bills, Mariners, pretty
Yeah.
solid. I
Blazers,
mean,
big Blazers fan. Don't know how
okay.
good this year.
Well, they've been pretty good. I mean,
Just trying to
it's
hold on to Dame. I think
yeah,
it's about
you
coming to an
have
end.
to. You have to. Otherwise, I don't know. It might be a tough look for the team without him. He's kind of been the guy for the longest time. You don't really want to lose him. He's one of those guys that, you know, he's like your franchise is known because of him. Like
He
it's like
deserves
the
a ring.
Packers losing Aaron Rodgers and the Patriots
Right.
losing Tom Brady. It's like that's the guy. When people think of those teams, what's the first player you think of when you think of the Patriots? Everyone's gonna say
Right.
either Gronk or Brady. Like
Brady.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's only so I don't know. It's crazy. How about we wrap up the episode on I mean,
Yeah.
do you have any team goals, personal goals? Like what do you want to like see your team? Obviously everyone wants to go all the way, but like you guys want to win the conference? Is that like a big goal for you
Yeah, I
or
think winning the conference is a good goal for us. Maybe winning a playoff game.
yeah,
And yeah, just kind of we try to not really focus on that too much. We just try to
yeah.
work on getting better every day. Just building, stacking good days, and hopefully good things will happen from that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all you can do. You don't want to get too far ahead
Right.
of yourselves. The
Yeah.
teams that get so sucked into all that stuff usually doesn't end well. So
Right.
definitely agree with you. Well, Jack, thanks for coming on this episode of the podcast. Wish you guys
Yeah.
the best in your season and you personally.
Appreciate that. Thanks for having me, Alex.
Yeah, I hope to see you on the field. I'm gonna be watching some. You guys are on ESPN Plus a lot. I got ESPN Plus. I'm gonna be
Yep.
watching some Idaho football
Let's
games this
go.
year.
Let's go. Glad to hear that.
Good stuff.